I have some good news. My Kiesel arrived on Friday. That's 9 weeks since it was ordered. That's a really fast turnaround for a custom shop guitar, so let's take a quick look at it. I have to say, when I opened the case, I was completely blown away. I'm really happy with how this guitar's turned out, and I couldn't be happier with all the options that I went for. So let's go through some of the things I like about it. In terms of quality, I've looked at this guitar as much as I can, and I'm yet to find a single blemish or crack or problem with the finish or anything that I don't like. To be honest, I think it looks absolutely fantastic. I've found no problems so far. It's come from America to the UK, and there don't appear to be any problems with change in temperature or humidity. Came in it's listed as a soft case, but it's much more reinforced than a normal fabric case. Tomorrow I'm going to have a bit more time with this in the studio, and I'll try and get some examples of tones that you can get out of it. But I've initially just plugged it in and played it for a couple of hours. It sounds as good as it looks. So the guitar top, as you'll know from the previous videos, it's an ash top. Again, the figuring on this guitar, the way the black rawtone finish has turned out, I think it looks spectacular. It really looks like it's been ripped out of some haunted tree, which is the look I was going for. I really like the way it goes with the black hardware for that sort of semi-blackout design, but it also contrasts really well with the bevel. The back also looks spectacular. It really contrasts, like I said, with the front. You've got the light swamp ash wood in a natural finish, and that contrasts with the walnut and maple three-piece neck. Really like the way that looks. But, well, then there was the wild card on the build, which was the Zebrawood fingerboard. That just looks phenomenal. The way the grain sort of runs the other way to the frets, and just the general figure of it is just really nice. It kind of instantly reminds me of a maple fingerboard in the way it feels and the sort of snappiness of it. It's got that kind of feel to it if you've played a lot of guitars with maple fingerboards. Now, to keep things nice and simple, I didn't specify the tuning that I use for it to be set up in. It came shipped with a setup done to it in B standard, and it looks like a lot of time was done to that because it was really well set up. It's so comfortable to play straight out of the bag. The tuning that I generally use is an A sharp modal tuning. It's basically like a 7-string version of Dadgad tuned down a little bit, so it's not too far away from standard tuning. It's like a semitone or a tone different here and there, but I haven't yet set it up for my tuning. I've just retuned it and played it that way, and it's still really enjoyable to play. Now, these are Kiesel locking tuners, which I've not used before, but they seem to be really similar in quality to Gotto locking tuners if you've used those on an Ibanez. And the combination of those and the 27-inch scale seem to really give it a lot of tuning stability. I've not had any issues with the low tuning that I use. And just picking up and playing it over the last couple of days, I've not sort of had to do much to it, to be honest. And one thing which I think actually counts for a lot that isn't usually discussed in review videos is sort of acoustically. It's a really pleasant guitar. Even when it's not plugged in, you can kind of enjoy the sound of it, even when it's just almost acoustic, I suppose. So the pickups, these are Kiesel Lithiums. The bridge sounds exactly how I like a bridge pickup to sound. It's really meaty and chunky, great for heavy tones. Again, I'll just plug that straight into a fairly standard preset on my Axe effects, which I've been using, and it sounded great straight off the bat. With the split option, I've got a coil split on the push-pull. It sounds, really nice and aggressive, the way I like it to sound. The neck is, for me, that's more of a solo lead kind of tone. It doesn't really suit what I play, and especially when it's split, it doesn't have that split coil that I like to use for rhythm tones, where it's really kind of gurgly and aggressive. It doesn't really do that as far as I can tell. But that's not bad news for this particular guitar, because even before it arrived, I picked up a set of Lundgrens. I emailed Johan at Lundgren and asked him if he could do me a blacked out set of M7s, which he really kindly did for me and delivered them really promptly, so they're just waiting to go into this guitar when I've got a chance to do that. Now, as I said before, it has a piezo system, which is this switch here and this volume control. That sounds great, equally as good as piezo systems I've got in other guitars. I did notice it's got a bit more low end, it's a bit bassier, which is easily compensated for with EQ. When I'm playing the piezo, I've generally got a ton of effects going, delays and reverbs and compressors, etc. So dialing out some of the low ends isn't a problem. Having said that, it does have a preamp built in, which I haven't explored yet. There might be a pot on there which can change it's like a tilt EQ or an EQ shift on quite a lot of the acoustic preamps that you get for piezo systems. I'm fairly sure it's a Graphtec one. When I open up, it'll probably be the Acoustophonic. So I think it's possible on those to alter the EQ settings of the piezo on board in the preamp. So you're very happy with the sounds that come out of this. It can more or less instantly do all the things that I wanted, and that was the purpose of this guitar, was to get the rhythm tones and the piezo tones into one guitar that I could use live and in the studio, and it's really delivered. I'm hoping that the M7s will just finish off the whole thing. I did almost get bare knuckle aftermaths, which I have in quite a lot of my other guitars, but I wanted to try the M7s because I've heard so many good things about them. Overall, as I think you can tell, I'm really happy with how this guitar's turned out. Really pleased with the build quality, the attention to detail, and the value for money. I really struggle to say that this is any different build quality than mine is, which was probably double the cost. And it was actually less import tax and VAT than I thought. It was £269, which takes us to just above £2,100. So again, that's about half the cost of my miners, and I would say the build quality is, if not equal, then very close. So I have seen a lot online about the hit or miss quality control at Kiesel. I've personally got no complaints. This guitar's great. Visually it's stunning. Tone is really exactly what I'm after, bar the split coil on the neck, which will hopefully be fixed with a pickup change. But again, if I was just playing general sort of metal, you know, a cross between heavy rhythm tones and leads and solos, these would be perfect for that. It's just for my specific application, which is that kind of progressive metal ambient stuff, I want something a bit different out of the neck pickup, but there's nothing wrong with them at all. So that is a custom shop guitar order in 2020. You saw the whole process of speccing the guitar out to working out things like import charges and, you know, different rules in different countries, etc. And you've seen the finished result, so hopefully it was helpful to people that might be considering a guitar like this. Again, don't write off those production models, the higher end ones, if they already do what you need. But if you want something a little bit different, like I did, then, you know, fair play to Kiesel. This is a great guitar. This is going to be the Kiesel Lithium bridge humbucker. Okay, so the bridge now in split position. It's just a push-pull. Okay, now the neck position on the humbucker. And now neck split coil. Okay, so let's try the piezo. So to get this, we're just going to flick this switch. And this is the piezo volume here. That is absolutely beautiful. I love it. So obviously this is my guitar which I've had built for myself, so obviously I'm going to try it with the kind of tones I use, which is a bit of a weird, really electric-y kind of rhythm tone and those crystal cleans. So just for demonstration purposes, this is a more generic sort of 5150 style distortion, nothing special, just an overdrive, a 5150 V30 cab and a gate in the effects loop, I think. Again, bridge humbucker. This is something not much more complicated. It's a diesel VH4, drive in front of it, treble most of the way up because it's quite a dark amp, and then just a split cab, a V30 and a G12 I think. So I think that's probably a Marshall with a greenback kind of simulation, but anyway. So that is the tone demo for my Kiesel A7. The next one will be the same thing, but I'm going to replace these Kiesel Lithiums with Lundgren M7s, which Lundgren were nice enough to make for me in a blacked out design, so check it out. So you've seen the whole process from speccing out the guitar to ordering it to receiving it and trying it out, so let me know what you think. If you've got any questions about any of the specs and how I think it's affected the final tone of the guitar and the playability, let me know in the comments. And I really love this guitar, so thanks Kiesel, it's great.